I never thought I'd end up owning a piece of Montana's finest ranch land, but life has a way of throwing curveballs that hit you right in the gut. My name is Emily Hayes, and at 38, I've carved out a solid life in Bozeman as the head of Prairie Peak Events, one of the top event planning firms in the Western states. We handle everything from corporate retreats in the Rockies to high society weddings on sprawling estates. My days start with a jog along the Gallatin River, followed by long hours coordinating details that make other people's dreams come true. I drive a trusty Ford F-150 that's seen better days, but gets me through the mountain passes without a hitch. My home is a cozy cabin on the outskirts of town, nothing flashy, just warm wood beams and a view of the Bridger Mountains that I earned through years of hustle. Folks around here know me as the reliable type. The one who shows up in jeans and boots to scout venues but transforms events into something magical. My brother Tom ribs me about being too grounded, and my mom wishes I'd chase a bit more excitement. Old college buddies from Montana State have mostly scattered, chasing rodeo dreams or tech jobs in Seattle. But we catch up at the occasional barbecue. Then there's Sophia Vance, who rebranded herself as Sophia Evergreen for her online persona. We met as freshmen in the dorms, back when she was just soft from a small ranch town in Wyoming, with wild curls and a laugh that could fill a barn. She'd borrow my notes for classes, and we'd split cheap burgers at the local diner. Over the years, while I built my business from scratch, starting with small birthday parties and graduating to million-dollar galas, Sophia chased the spotlight. She tried vlogging about ranch life. Flopped. Dabbled in fitness coaching. Bombed. Launched a line of Western chic accessories, which tanked hard. Each failure brought her to my doorstep, eyes puffy, needing a place to crash. I always open my door because that's what you do out here. Help your neighbor. Or in this case, your old roommate. The last time was 4 years back. She'd been kicked out of her overpriced loft in Denver after her luxury frontier lifestyle subscription box went under. She bunked in my spare room for 6 months, eating my venison stew and using my Wi-Fi without chipping in a dime. That's when she met Dylan Harrington at a networking mixer I'd gotten her into. Dylan, heir to a chain of luxury ranches across the West, fell for her charm hook, line, and sinker. Soon, she was living in his family's flagship property near Jackson Hole, posting about elevated Western living with hashtags like Ranch Queen Manifest Your West. Her feed exploded. Designer cowboy boots, private jet trips to Vegas, yoga on horseback at sunrise. I became the punchline in her new circle. Emily still drives that old truck, like, bless her heart. But upgrade already. She'd snicker at gatherings when she thought I wasn't listening. Or at a mutual friend's baby shower. She's all work, no play, stuck in that small-town grind. It stung, but I brushed it off. I had clients to please, bills to pay. When her wedding invite arrived, a fancy embossed card for their ceremony at Silver Ridge Ranch in Montana, I was stunned. The place was legendary, with views of Yellowstone's edge and rates that could bankrupt a small town. The note inside, we've grown apart, but I can't say I do without my oldest friend. Hope you'll join us. Hugs and kisses, sophomore. I almost trashed it, but then I caught her podcast episode while scouting venues, releasing low-vibe connections. Midway through, my story twisted. This college buddy of mine is just stagnant. Same gig, same style, same everything. I tried pulling her up, but some folks cling to mediocrity. It's toxic for your glow-up. The host chuckled. Not everyone can handle a trailblazer's fire. Totally, Sophia gushed. I invited her to the wedding for old time's sake. But honestly, fingers crossed she skips it. Imagine her thrift store vibe next to my custom gown. I poured a stiff whiskey, my go-to Jack Daniels, and RSVP'd yes. That's when the real planning started. 2 weeks later, her call came late, as I reviewed contracts for a cattle baron's anniversary bash. Thrilled you're coming. Her voice dripped with that fake frontier charm she peddled online. Dylan's stoked too. You're the only one from back then who really gets me. Before the reinvention. She meant. So, heads up, the weekend's gonna be upscale. Guest lists packed with Western elite, ranch owners, even some Hollywood types who love the cowboy aesthetic.
She paused.
Just want you to fit right in. I'll manage, I said, keeping it cool. Of course, but dress code's black tie Western, think couture boots and all. I know you're not big on trends, which is cute, but maybe splurge? There's this boutique in Bozeman that does styling. I can hook you up. I stared at my screen, fingers hovering over an email. Kind of you, sophomore.
Oh.
And one tiny ask, maybe skip mentioning those times I crashed at your place? Dylan's folks are old-school ranchers. They think I've always had my act together. Keep it between us, girls. She wanted me there as a sanitized prop. Sure. And the other guests? Some can be picky. Just don't go too rustic.
You know?
Skip the off-the-rack stuff. The condescension hit like a Montana winter wind.
Soph.
If you're ashamed.
No.
I just want you comfy. Not out of place. You grind so hard. Treat yourself. Who knows? You might meet one of Dylan's single buddies, successful ranchers. Oil guys. After hanging up, with her boutique links pinging my inbox, I dug deeper. Her digs were everywhere. Instagram rants on investing in your Western wardrobe, TikToks mocking friends stuck in pioneer mode. Worst was her YouTube, upgrading your inner circle. This one pal, she said from Dylan's lodge, decked in turquoise jewelry. Loves her budgets and practicality, exhausting when you're manifesting ranch royalty. Had to cut that energy loose. Comments praised her boundaries. I screenshotted it all. Next morning, I cleared my schedule. Special project, I told my assistant. Time to shop not for dresses, but for leverage. Memories flooded as I scrolled her latest post, a champagne toast with bridesmaids in matching Stetson hats. Blessed beyond the prairie. Did they know the real Soph? The one who'd shown up at my cabin in a blizzard 3 years back. Eviction papers in hand. Begging for just a month till her next gig. No gig came. She stayed, leaving boots muddy on my floor. Filming self-care Sundays while I worked doubles. You should charge more for events, she'd say. Filing her nails with polish bought on my dime. Visualize abundance.
Eminencia.
I'd bite my tongue. My boring work fed us both. I got her into elite mixers, introduced sponsors, even polished her blog posts. You're great at the nitty-gritty. I'm the visionary, the breakthrough, a Western expo I'd comped her ticket for. There she met Dylan, charmed him with rehearsed lines she'd practiced in my mirror, wearing a dress charged to my card. She ghosted soon after. Dylan's place is amazing. Thanks. Babe, I'll square up soon.
No pavek.
Then I found her course, Elite Western Event Mastery, $997. My templates, my vendor lists, my crisis tips, repackaged as hers. Years adjacent to the industry, she claimed. I considered suing. IP theft is serious in business law out here, but she'd tweaked enough to muddy waters. And Dylan's family lawyers were sharks. I let it slide. Grew my firm instead. But her gala whisper last year sealed it. Emily's talented, but no spark. Some are just ranch hands, not owners.
Now,
with evidence stacked, I decided, time for truth. Western style. Research on Silver Ridge Ranch revealed cracks. Post-pandemic cancellations. Owners' divorce draining funds. Whispers in my network said they were desperate. I called early. This is Laura West from Horizon Ventures. Fake name. Real intent. Heard you're open to partners. By noon. Reviewing books via my lawyer. They needed $4 million to stabilize. I offered $3.20 for 55% stake. Honoring bookings. Settled at $3.50. That Harrington wedding. Keep it seamless, I said. High profile. Absolutely, the owner replied. Bride's a handful. I smiled. She sure is. Investors from my client pool backed it quietly.
To them.
Smart real estate play.
To me. Justice.
The weeks leading up to the wedding were a whirlwind of stealth and strategy. The kind I usually reserved for pulling off surprise elements in my clients' events. But this was personal. I kept my routine normal. Morning runs along the Yellowstone River. Meetings with vendors for a upcoming Dude Ranch corporate retreat, but behind the scenes, I was building my case like a detective in one of those old Western novels my dad used to read. Silver Ridge Ranch was now partially mine, though the paperwork stipulated a quiet transition. No announcements until after the big day, which suited me just fine. Sophia ramped up her pre-wedding posts, each one a glossy facade of Western glamour, fittings for her custom lace gown with turquoise accents, tastings of bison steaks and craft whiskeys, helicopter tours over the ranch. Her followers ate it up, commenting on how iconic her ranch royalty vibe was. Buried in the comments, though, were the subtle jabs at people like me. Surround yourself with elevators, not anchors, one caption read. I knew who the anchor was supposed to be. Her final call came a week out. Voice bubbly, but edged with that superior tone.
Ink. Can't wait to see you.
Just a quick tip, the welcome dinners at the lodge. Super chic. Maybe pack something besides your usual flannels. She laughed like it was a joke.
And hey?
Dylan's got some eligible rancher friends. Could be your chance to level up. I played along. Sounds fun. See you there. Hanging up. I reviewed my dossier. Timestamps on stolen content. Audio clips from her podcasts. Even a leaked DM where she called me stuck in pioneer poverty mindset. My lawyer had vetted it all. Fair use for exposure. No defamation if factual. In the U.S., truth is the ultimate defense, especially in intellectual property cases. I'd consulted a specialist in Bozeman. Turns out, her course violated basic copyright if I could prove origination, which I could with dated files from my servers. The flight to the ranch was short, but I drove instead, winding through the big sky country in my F-150, rehearsing my moves. Silver Ridge was breathtaking, 500 acres of pine-dotted hills. A crystal lake fed by mountain streams. Barns converted into elegant venues. As new co-owner, I'd arranged a private tour with the manager, who knew my identity but was sworn to secrecy via NDA. Everything set for the Harrington Vance nuptials? I asked. Walking the grounds. Down to the last wildflower bouquet, he replied. Brides demanded changes daily. But we're on it. I nodded. Good. I'll be attending incognito. Handle any issues through me quietly. The welcome dinner that night was pure extravagance. Long tables under string lights. Prime rib from local cattle. Live bluegrass band. Sophia floated in, arm linked with Dylan. Her gown a vision of Western elegance. She spotted me across the room, in my simple navy sheath dress, off the rack from a Bozeman boutique. Or so she thought.
Ink.
You made it. She air-kissed my cheeks. Love the dress, very authentic. Thanks, I said,
smiling.
Congrats on all this. Ranch looks amazing, isn't it? Cost a fortune, but worth it for the memories. She leaned in. Just between us. Try not to mention the old days around Dylan's folks. They're all about legacy. You know. I raised my glass. Wouldn't dream of it. The night wore on with toasts and stories. But I caught the side eyes from her influencer squad, girls in designer denim and boots, snapping selfies. One whispered to another. Loud enough for me. That's the college friend? Kinda basic for this crowd. I sipped my wine, biding time. The rehearsal the next day was tense. Sophia barked orders at staff, demanding perfect lighting for her golden hour photos. Dylan seemed oblivious, chatting with groomsmen about hunting trips. I hung back, observing, until evening when the bachelorette party kicked off, spa treatments by the lake, followed by a bonfire with s'mores and cocktails. That's when things got real. Loosened by whiskey. Sophia pulled me aside.
Ink.
Seriously, thanks for coming. Means a lot. Even if we've evolved differently. Evolved, I echoed. You know, I've built this empire. You, still planning other people's parties. But hey, it's stable. Her pitying smile twisted the knife. I excused myself, heart pounding. Back in my cabin, Compta's owner, I finalized the video, a montage of her thefts and taunts, backed by evidence. My tech guy had it ready to project during her speech. Wedding day dawned clear. Montana sun painting the hills gold. Guests arrived in luxury SUVs and helicopters, ranch tycoons, celebs with Western roots, influencers galore. I dressed simply, but underneath was my ace, custom tailoring I'd splurged on quietly. The ceremony was flawless, vows under a floral arch. Sophia radiant, Dylan beaming. Rings exchanged.
Kiss sealed.
Then the reception in the grand barn, tables laden with elk medallions and fine wines. Sophia's speech came after appetizers. Mic in hand, she glowed. Friends, family, thank you for sharing our day at this stunning ranch. It's the perfect symbol of our journey, from humble starts to this pinnacle. Guests clapped. She scanned the room, eyes landing on me, and to old friends who've stayed true to themselves. Laughter rippled, her cruise cue. She raised her glass. To new beginnings, I stood, wine in hand. Here, here. Heads turned. And congrats on the venue choice. I became the majority owner last week. Silence dropped like a stone. Sophia's smile froze. What? Bliss Peak Ventures acquired controlling interest. Technically, you're all my guests. Whispers erupted. Phones emerged. The former owner, at a vendor table, confirmed reluctantly, it's true. Closed 2 weeks ago. Dylan's face paled. Sophia gripped the mic.
Impossible.
We booked months ago. And we'll honor it, I said calmly. But since we're toasting journeys, I prepared a special video on yours, the full story. I nodded to the AV team. Screens lit. Her podcast clip. This old friend. Stuck in mediocrity. Toxic for my ascent.
Gasps.
Then more, YouTube rants. TikToks mocking my ranch drudge life. Side-by-side comparisons of my event blueprints in her course. That's private, Sophia shrieked. Public posts, I corrected. And the course? $500,000 from my IP. Copyright laws clear. Attribution required. The room buzzed. Influencers filmed discreetly. Dylan's jaw tightened. One more clip, a voicemail to her maid of honor.
Em RSVP?
Hilarious. Her thrift vibe will clash like a coyote at a cattle drive. Laughter died. Dylan stood. Soft. She's twisting it. Jealousy. I stepped forward. Jealous of what? Stolen success? Fake followers? You witch. She lunged, but bridesmaids held her. Dylan turned away. I need air. The fallout was swift. Guests murmuring. Some leaving. I felt a pang, not triumph, but sorrow for what we'd lost. As the reception unraveled like a frayed lasso, I stood there watching the chaos I'd unleashed. But it didn't feel like the victory I'd imagined. The barn, with its vaulted ceilings and twinkling lights, suddenly felt too big, too empty. Guests milled about, some glued to their phones as the video I'd posted to my company's socials, Prairie Peak Events, with its 500K real followers, started gaining traction. Sophia Unmasked was already trending in Western circles, from Denver bloggers to LA cowboys. Sophia collapsed into a chair at the head table, her custom gown pooling around her like a defeated flag. Mascara streaked her cheeks as she scrolled her phone, watching follower counts plummet, 750K, 720K, dropping like rocks off a cliff. Her bridesmaids, a flock of influencers in coordinated outfits, huddled nearby, whispering furiously. This is toxic for my feed, one muttered, grabbing her purse.
Sorry.
Soft. But my sponsors. One by one, they peeled away, murmuring excuses about early flights back to their urban oases. Madison, the maid of honor who'd leaked that voicemail, turns out, loyalty has limits when scandals brew,
Was the last.
Can't be tied to this.
Girl.
My brand's clean, Western wellness. Not drama. Sophia looked up, eyes wild. This is my wedding.
You're supposed to be here for me.
Madison shrugged.
Was.
Now it's a meme. Good luck. She strode out, heels clicking on the wooden floor. Dylan returned briefly, face stormy, flanked by his groomsmen, sturdy ranch types in tailored suits. He didn't approach the table. Instead, he signaled his parents.
His mom,
a no-nonsense matriarch in pearl snaps and boots, whispered something, then nodded toward me. I braced as she approached. MS. Hayes. A word.
outside.
Under the Montana stars. She lit a slim cigarette, old habit from her rodeo days. We had doubts about Sophia. Too polished.
Too quick to climb.
But Dylan saw stars. Better now than after kids and cattle shares. I exhaled. Didn't mean to wreck everything. She eyed me. Wrecked a facade. Saved a fortune in divorce later. Our prenup has a misrepresentation clause, standard in family trusts. She lied about her empire. Voids it all. Back inside. Dylan confronted Sophia quietly. But Mike's caught snippets. Thought your story was real, struggles to success. But it was hers? Stolen. Exaggerated for content, she pleaded. Everyone does it. Not in my world, he said. Voice low. Ranching's about honesty. Land doesn't lie. He walked out, groomsmen trailing, leaving her alone amid wilting centerpieces. Sophia turned on me, voice cracking. Happy? You ruined my life. I sat across from her, the barn emptying. Not happy.
Hurt.
You took my work, mocked my life, erased our history for likes. Jealous. I made it big, you're still small time. Small time. I gestured around. I own this now. Built on real sweat. Not theft. Copyright filings are public. My lawyer's prepping a suit for restitution. She paled. I'll fight it. With what? Sponsors dropping like flies. Her phone buzzed her manager. brands pulling out. Morality clauses activated. You're on your own. The line died. Sophia stared.
Defeated.
Why expose it here? Could have sued quietly. Because you made my pain public. Podcasts. Posts. Turn me into your villain arc. Guests trickled out. Some pausing to shake my hand. Respect, a ranch owner said. Integrity's rare these days. Others filmed, turning her dream day into viral fodder. As staff cleared plates, I felt the weight. Revenge tasted bitter, like overbrewed coffee. I'd planned meticulously, but seeing her broken stirred old memories, late-night talks in dorms, sharing dreams over cheap beer. Before the facade, she'd been real. She whispered. I screwed up. Scared of failing again. Your stability. It highlighted my mess. So I flipped the script. I nodded. Understood. But actions have consequences. She wiped her eyes. What now? Wrap up. Venue's yours till midnight, paid for. Tomorrow, another booking. I left her there, stepping into the cool night. My truck waited, reliable as ever. Driving back to Bozeman, phone off. I reflected. Mountains loomed dark. Stars brilliant. Peace settled, but laced with regret. Had I gone too far? Weeks passed. Business boomed. Clients sought the planner with spine. I sold part of my ranch stake profitably, expanding into Wyoming. But the emptiness lingered. Then, a letter arrived. Postmarked Wyoming, her hometown.
Ink.
Probably trash this. But here goes. Back with folks.
No filters. No feeds.
Working the family diner. Real grease. Real chats.
No hashtags. Humbling.
I built on sand. Stole your foundation because mine cracked. Sorry for the theft. The cruelty. For twisting our bond into content. Didn't deserve you. Learning to be okay as is. No forgiveness expected. Just know I'm facing the mirror. Sophomore. I read it thrice. Filed it. Not ready to respond. But not discarding. Forgiveness isn't mandatory, it's a choice. Life normalized. Events planned. Runs taken. One evening. At a local saloon with Tom. He asked, regret the takedown?
Some.
But it taught us both, authenticity over appearance. He raised his beer. To real trails, not staged ones. Months later.
A tentative email. Coffee? No agenda.
I agreed. We met at a neutral spot, a trailhead cafe. She looked different. No makeup. Jeans worn from work. Not designer. Thanks for coming, she said. I'm in therapy, unpacking the why. Your exposure? Wake-up call. We talked hours. Past hurts. Future hopes.
No instant fix.
But a start. I dropped the suit. Settling for credit and partial royalties, donated to women's business funds. Dylan moved on. Wiser. Sophia rebuilt quietly. A blog on real Western life.
No glows.
Our friendship? Scarred. But mending. Lesson learned. Revenge burns hot. But redemption warms longer. In the West, wide open spaces allow for second chances if you're willing to ride the rough terrain. Rebuilding after the wedding wasn't about glory or gain. It was about finding balance in the aftermath. Like calming a spooked horse after a storm. My days at Prairie Peak events picked up steam. Clients flooded in, drawn to the story of a planner who stood her ground. We want authenticity, they'd say. Booking retreats where real connections trumped Instagram ops. I hired more staff. Expanded to eco-friendly venues in Idaho. Even started a mentorship for aspiring Western entrepreneurs. No more late nights alone. I joined a hiking group, dated casually, a ranch consultant who appreciated my grounded grit. But echoes of that night lingered. Viral clips replayed. Sophia's breakdown. My calm reveal. Media dubbed it the Ranch Reckoning, a tale of influencer fallout. I declined interviews, focusing inward. Therapy helped unpack my role. Had hurt fueled overkill? Boundaries are healthy, my counselor said. But mercy heals. Sophia's path, from snippets I heard, was rockier. Dropped by brands. Accounts deleted. She vanished online. Whispers said she'd returned to Wyoming, working odd jobs. The letter had opened a door. But I waited months before replying. Coffee sounds good. Neutral ground. We met at a roadside diner midway, pieced together booths. Coffee strong as tar. She arrived in a faded truck, hair in a ponytail. No jewelry but a simple silver band, family heirloom. She started, voice steady. Appreciate this. No excuses, I was wrong. Fear drove me. Failing publicly, being less than. Your success? Mirror to my chaos. Stole to shortcut. Mocked to feel superior. I sipped coffee. Hurt deep. Friendship turned prop. She nodded. Therapy's helping. Waitressing now, tips from truckers.
No filters.
Humbling, but real. Enrolled in community college, business basics. Irony, huh? We laughed tentatively. Drop the suit, I said. Settled quiet. Credit on any reprints. Half royalties to charity. Her eyes widened. Generous. Deserved worse. Enough pain. Let's build better. Conversation flowed. Shared memories.
Sans rostin.
She admitted buying followers. Faking sponsorships. Chasing shine blinded me to substance. As we parted, hugs awkward but genuine. Friends, she asked. Starting over. Acquaintances with history. Months on. She launched a modest podcast. Raw ranch realities. Honest talks on failures.
Growth.
First episode credited me. To the friend who called my bluff. Thanks for the reset. Listeners responded. Authenticity resonated. Dylan? Spotted at industry events. Single. Wiser. Sent a note. Dodged a bullet. Thanks indirectly. His family thrived. Prenup intact. My life enriched. A partnership with local tribes for cultural events. Volunteer work at youth ranches. At a gala I planned, Tom toasted. To Sis, who turned betrayal to beacon. Sophia visited Bozeman eventually. We hiked the Bridgers, talking futures. Learned, success ain't followers, it's integrity, she said. Mine. Hold space for redemption, I replied. Sunset painted the peaks gold. In the west, horizons stretch far, room for mistakes. Men's. The story spread as cautionary wisdom in a world of curated cowboys. Real grit wins. No villains. Just humans stumbling toward better. The months following our coffee meet were tentative steps toward something new, not the blind trust of college days, but a cautious alliance built on hard-won lessons. Sophia threw herself into her new venture with a humility I'd never seen. Her podcast grew organically. No paid ads. Just raw stories from folks who'd hit rock bottom and climbed back. She interviewed waitresses, failed ranchers, even a former influencer who'd burned out. Credit where due, she said in one episode. My wake-up came from a friend who refused to let lies stand. Taught me, steal success. It crumbles. I guessed it anonymously at first, sharing event tips without naming names. Listeners loved the mystery mentor. Our dynamic shifted, mutual respect over one-sided aid. Professionally, Prairie Peak soared. A major client, a Hollywood Western film premiere, blending red carpet with ranch authenticity. I insisted on ethical sourcing, local vendors, fair pay. Profits funded scholarships for women in business, turning pain to purpose. Personally, I explored more pottery classes in town, a road trip to Yellowstone with my hiking group. The ranch consultant, Jake, became steady, dinners by the fire, talks on dreams without drama. "You're the real deal," he'd say. "No rush. Western time moves slow." Sophia's life stabilized, promoted at the diner, dating a local mechanic, grounded.
Kind.
She repaid what she could from course residuals, symbolically closing the theft chapter. Legally, we filed joint statements, resolved amicably, focusing on growth. One crisp fall day, she called, "Event in Wyoming, small wedding for my cousin. Help plan? Your expertise. My local know-how." I agreed. We collaborated seamlessly. Wildflower arches, bonfire receptions. At the event, she toasted to second chances, the West's greatest gift. Guests applauded. Later, alone, "Thanks,
Eminencia.
for not giving up." "Mutual," I said. Lesson: betrayal stings, but forgiveness frees. As snow dusted the mountains, I drove home content. Life's not a showdown, it's a long trail. Ride with heart, and horizons open. Years blend like seasons in the West, but the ripple from that wedding shaped us all in ways we couldn't foresee. Prairie Peak events became synonymous with integrity. Clients from coast to coast sought our no BS Western elegance. I authored a book, Authentic Gatherings, Building Events That Last, crediting lessons from hard knocks without naming Sophia. Royalties supported IP education for small businesses, turning personal theft into communal gain. Sophia thrived in her lane. Her podcast evolved into a community hub, hosting workshops on ethical influencing. She married quietly, the mechanic, at a backyard barbecue. I attended, toasting genuinely, to real roots. Our friendship? Solid. Like aged oak, visits yearly. Advice exchanged freely. Dylan remarried a veterinarian, focused on sustainable ranching. We crossed paths at a conference, no bitterness. That day, best detour ever. Reflecting on the journey, the shock of betrayal led to unexpected grace. I learned, vengeance satisfies momentarily, but humanity endures through compassion.
In vast prairies,
There's room for redemption. Choose it, and life blooms anew. The end wasn't destruction, but dawn, clearer skies, stronger bonds. As Montana sun sets, I run trails grateful for pain that prompted growth, friends who falter and rise. In this tale, no heroes or villains, just folks navigating life's rugged paths. The moral? Hold truth high. Extend hands low. Westward. Always forward. Looking back from my cabin porch, coffee in hand, as elk grazed distant fields, I marveled at the arc. The wedding's chaos. Once a storm, now a story we shared over holidays. Sophia visited with her husband, kids in tow, eventually nieces and nephews by choice. "Remember when I called you basic?" She'd joke self-deprecatingly. "Water under the bridge," I'd reply. Taught us both. Business-wise. Collaborations flourished. Joint ventures on ethical events. Blending her storytelling with my logistics. Media revisited The Reckoning as inspiration, how exposure sparked reform in influencer culture. Personally, Jake and I built a life, a small ranch edition. Adventures in the Rockies. Mom beamed at gatherings. Tom teased less. The true lesson. Light and profound. Betrayal's test, but responses define. Choose humanity, forgive selectively, grow relentlessly. In America's West, wide lands mirror wide hearts, space for mistakes, miles for mending. As stars wheeled overhead,
Peace reigned.
from shock to serenity, the path wound true.